question answer session. I pray God to give me that ability wherein I'll fulfill your questions with comfortable answers. So let God guide me in my presentation and communication. So the one essence beyond or one essence behind organizing this question answer session is this. So every time a person suffers from some kind of challenges, the challenges must be converted into questions. See, one point you need to understand is, if you want to prepare dosa, we can only prepare it on certain temperatures. But we can never prepare it by putting that pan in a refrigerator or at 0 degrees centigrade. In the sense, I mean to say that the temperature creates the dosa. In a similar manner, happiness is being created at certain frequencies. And creation also happens in that happy situations. In worry or suffering, we never create anything in life. Whatever that we want to create in life, we create it just because we are in a happy frequency. This universe creates everything we want only in happy frequency. And when we are happy alone, we work. When we work alone, we build our positive attitude, we build courage, confidence, clarity, and we become a fighter wherein we will be task ready to do anything in life. But in general perspective, if we are not focusing on happy frequency, if you are not focusing on being happy always, in that particular situation, what exactly happens is we will be in a worry mood. In worry, we will never try to work. We will not have a zeal to work. Our mind does not support us to work. When we don't work, automatically negative attitude creeps in. So with negative attitude, we will develop fear, doubt, hesitation, and we will be ready for flight. We will not become a fighter, but we will try to escape from every situation. So we have to put ourselves in happy frequency always. In order to put ourselves in happy frequency, we have to know everything which worries us. See, probably we have to observe what is really causing the worry in us. And every worry must be questioned. In the sense, what is the root cause of that worry? If you are not identifying the root cause of that worry, then automatically what exactly happens is we can never find a solution for it. See, let me put you with a simple example. If I just ask you, why do we put surf or some kind of soap in order to wash clothes? Or why do we use a detergent? So most of the people will say that with the help of a detergent or with the help of surf, okay, we can clean the dirt away. But what exactly happens in order to clean that dirt away from clothes with the help of surf or detergent soap? So this, if you don't know, then automatically there is no chance of you preparing detergent. When man understood this formula, then they started creating detergent. So we have different kinds of detergents in the market because they are the people who understood this. If man did not understand this concept, then automatically there is no choice of creating a detergent. See, the problem was this. Clothes will have tiny pores. It's not possible for water with its density to penetrate through that pores. So it only wets the cloth on the top surface and the bottom surface. But the water does not percolate inside the pores of the cloth because it is of higher density. So with the help of soap or with the help of surf, detergent I mean, we try to reduce the density of water. When we reduce the density of water, it automatically percolates through the pores of the cloth. So that automatically makes it to get cleaned. So we have identified a solution through which we reduce the density of it. If we do not understand this concept, then we will not create a soap that will reduce the density. So common man will be under the perception that if we clean with the detergent, automatically the dirt goes away. But the detergent or surf is going to just reduce the density of water. And it will have some kind of foam, okay, which creates a kind of comfort in washing. Lubrication, flexibility. So I hope now you understood. We need to identify exactly what the problem is. Then solution creation is pretty easy. And to identify that particular problem, we need to have a focus. We need to question and we need to explore. If we are not able to identify what is the root cause of a problem, then creating a solution becomes impossible. So every time we get worry within ourselves, we must have a mind which thinks and identifies what is exactly causing that worry. And the only reason for any kind of worry would be lack of awareness. So once we drive that awareness, once we bridge that awareness within us, then everything happens comfortably in life. So we have to work for one particular perspective, that is, from the discussion what I made, you must have understood this. Worry must not be there, because worry is not the frequency of creation. Worry is the frequency of destruction. Happiness is the frequency of creation. So everything that is chipping away the worry within us must be handled. In order to handle that, we have to question and identify what exactly is causing us that worry. So what would be causing that worry and what exactly is the reason behind it? That gap would be awareness, that is knowledge. So once we know what the problem is and once we add awareness to it, then we can handle worry. Once we handle worry, we can put ourselves in frequency of happiness. In happy frequency, we can become a creator. And once you are a creator, life is going to be a comfortable journey for you. And once you are a creator, I mean, okay, problem solver. So anyone who can handle his problems, anyone who can really overcome the tough times what he is encountering in life. And one statement I frequently tell you is this: every time you are in a kind of worry, every time you are in a kind of disturbance, you need to understand that there is something what you don't know. And you need to realize this. So people who do not realize this live by accident. For them, happiness or sorrow, both of them happen as an accident. See, when happiness is in your control, when worry is in your control, you can create happiness whenever you want. You can create worry whenever you want. In the sense, I mean, you can even handle your worry in every particular situation. Then life is in your control. When life is in your control, at least to a certain extent, then experiencing it would be a wonderful thing. So, the additional awareness what I put about you is always this. All we need to do in order to build this awareness is, we need to understand one simple thing. Our life results in experiencing, communication, and the actions we do. What we do, what we communicate, and what we experience, okay, becomes living or life. And this all happens with our thinking. So we need to focus on how our mind is thinking. So when we know how our mind is thinking, and when we know how to handle that thinking, then automatically we can have these three things in our control. That is what we do, what we communicate, and what we experience. When these three things are in our control, and life is in our control. So let's get started in driving that awareness to everyone who asks questions. And I hope through this awareness you can handle your challenges and you can get into the frequency of happiness through which you can create the life of your choice and celebrate your life. So let's get started. So I have the first question from Lokesh. Hi Lokesh, how are you? So I hope you're doing wonderfully. It's great to see you through your questions, Lokesh. Isn't there a difference between being practical and being positive? Of course. See, being practical is using our logical mind in a sense wherein we identify whether that is possible to do or not. But being positive is, see, most of the people, being positive and being negative is all about this. When our mind is thinking the way it has to think, automatically we are doing what we are supposed to do, we are communicating what we are supposed to communicate, and we are experiencing what we are supposed to experience. Then that is positive thinking. When our mind is thinking in a manner which is not allowing us to do what we want to do, which is not allowing us to do, which is not allowing us to communicate what we want to communicate, which is not allowing us to experience what we really want to experience, then we call it as negative thinking. So being positive is, see, life is definitely not in our control. We don't know what happens next. Internal things you can handle, but external things will never be in our control. See, nobody knew that there will be a kind of virus which will be troubling the entire world for a period of almost 2 years. And it happened, and we had to handle it. So external circumstances are not in our control. We don't know who is going to be close to us now. We don't know who is going to leave us. We don't know what is going to be our financial position tomorrow. We don't know what is going to be our workforce tomorrow, what kind of situations we are in. So external circumstances are never in our control. So we must learn to think positively, at least internally, so that our communication, our actions, and our experience of life brings up in balance. That is positive things, or that is positive thinking. But being practical is just knowing, thinking logically whether it is possible or not. That's it. See, probably we may just think about flying. Okay. So we want to fly from one place to the another. And we have to take the equipment of an aeroplane, or we have to use certain equipment which can help us to take to that position. But we can't just use our hands and fly because we are not streamlined in such a manner. So this is being practical. See, one thing is, a camel runs in the desert. And if I see that the camel is running in the desert and I can also run in the desert, and I start running, even though I'm positive, I'm not practical here. Because my body is not designed in a manner wherein I can run in a desert. I was just reading a story. A deer comes to drink water near a water pool and starts looking at her beauty. She looks at her horns, ears, eyes, and the beautiful spots on her body, and feels wonderful about its appearance. And later it starts looking at its legs, which find they are very thin and they are not strong, and she feels bad about her legs. And after some time she finds someone is chasing her, a hunter probably, and it starts running very fast and reaches a safer place wherein nobody can harm it. So at that time it looks at its legs and feels proud why the legs were designed like that. I hope you understood this. So being practical, Lokesh, is all about one thing. Knowing what is possible and what is not possible. So you're preparing for civil services. Okay. If you've really done your game, if you're really analyzing the entire concept from your 4th class, okay, if you're really good with your writing skills, if you had the complete analysis of the subject, all you need to do is expose to the kind of pattern, the kind of questions that are being asked in civil service exam, and you have to handle it. Probably with this familiarity, with this clarity, you can even crack it in 1 year or 2 years. But without having familiarity about all this, not familiar with the basics or knowledge about the syllabus of 4th class to 10th class, not being strong in all the subjects. So if you still have to work out everything, but still need that you can complete that within 6 months or 1 year, then that becomes impractical. In every situation, we have to see whether it is possible to complete or not. Most of the people set irrelevant goals, okay. So probably they don't know, they are not really good in the subject, but still they aim to complete the things, okay, within 2 months or 3 months, which is just impractical. So probably, if I have to go to Tirupati, I have to cover a distance of 150 kilometers. So I have road transportation and train transportation. Even if I'm catching a very good train, I'll have to travel for 1.5 hours minimum. Even if I'm traveling by car or a bike, that may make me at least to take 1.5 hours to 2 hours. So setting a goal of reaching Tirupati in 1.5 hours or 2 hours is practical. But if you set a goal wherein you want to reach Tirupati in half an hour from Kadapa through road transportation or rail transportation, then that becomes impractical. I hope you understood now. So in every situation, we have to see the possibility of it. So when we see the possibility of it and start working on it, then we are practical. So probably we have to extend some time in dealing it. But being positive is thinking in a manner wherein our communication, our work, and our experience of life will be better. So I hope you found the difference between being practical and being positive, Lokesh. Thanks a lot for your question. Take care. So, Pyari, good evening, Duff. So I think we are thinking about you a lot these days. And it's been a long time since I answered your question. You were the one, okay, who provoked a lot of thinking within me. I must be thankful for that. So after degree, further education is better or job is better? I'm in a confusion. Please explain me, sir. I've written ISET and PGSET also. So at home there are some financial issues. So tell me, my father has met me into an operation, so now I want to do or don't understand it. See, one thing is, we will not get an opportunity to educate ourselves further. So if we look at people in foreign countries, they will try to complete their PhD before getting into work. So because they feel that once they complete their PhD, they have substantial potentials. They have strong thinking, strong problem-solving attitude, and they really develop an attitude wherein they can handle any kind of circumstances they are engaging themselves in. See, most of the people from Kerala try to get married after 40 years because they think that after 40 they get the maturity to handle the circumstances of life. So in a similar manner, getting more and more education is not about gaining degrees. So it's about empowering our attitude. It's about empowering our problem solving ability, our communication ability, our technical concept. I think I can just give you a simple solution based on the idea of Abdul Kalam. Abdul Kalam was saying that India extracts thorium from its mines, and America needs that thorium. So they want to export that, they want to import that thorium from India. But India cannot purify that thorium to 100%. Our intelligence could not create a strategy through which we could purify that thorium to 100%. So what we do is, we purify that thorium to 99% and we export it to Japan. And the Japanese people purify that 1% and then export it to America. America buys it from Japan. But if at all if you are getting 1 rupee for a kilogram of thorium, example I am saying, after purifying 99% of it, the Japanese, just for purifying 1% of it, gets about 100 rupees. Probably 100 times more than what we are getting. Now think what makes them to get 100 times more money than what we are getting? It is just because they have mastered the ability to purify that 100%. And that ability a man gets with deeper study on the subject. When we go deeper and deeper into the subject, we gain more and more clarity about the subject. Then we can solve the problems pretty easily. Almost all the problems that are being encountered. But when we have a meager education, when we have a little bit of education, we will not be in a position to handle the problems what we are going to encounter. So job is a collection of challenges, right? So when job is a collection of challenges, we are a problem solver in that. So if you are not able to handle the challenges that you are encountering in a job profile by being a problem solver, then we cannot move forward. So higher education is always the best way to handle life. But when our family circumstances, when situations go beyond wherein we cannot study, okay, with all the challenges that we have at home, then it's better to get into a job, start working on it, and resolve the issues to a certain extent, and then we can get into the education and start educating ourselves. There are many people who even work and study at the same time. I can give you one very good example, I suppose, okay? I hope you all must be knowing about Endamuri Virendranath. So after Endamuri Virendranath's son completed his 10th class, he was thinking that his father would admit him into a wonderful college for intermediate education. But his father got him admitted into a normal college and he put him into a job with a person in the evening, wherein he used to pay a minimum amount of 20 rupees or something like that every day. And this went on for 2 years of intermediate. So by the time he completed his intermediate, so he had 2 years of experience, at the same time intermediate certificate. And after that, he felt that at least his father is going to put him into a wonderful college in order to do his graduation. But surprisingly, his father did not join him in a good degree college, but asked him to go for a job with this 2 years of experience as an accountant. And after joining a job, he asked him to go to night college, where he started attending classes in the evening. And after 3 years, he has got his graduation. At the same time, he has got 3 more years of experience. So overall 5 years of experience. Now felt that, okay, his father is going to allow him to join PG in a wonderful college. But his father asked him to apply for a wonderful bank with 5 years of experience. So he applied for Reserve Bank of India. And RB was shocked to know that, okay, so with degree has 5 years of experience also as to how he got it. And they gave him a job in Reserve Bank of India. And from there, okay, he worked for some time and gaining experience, Reserve Bank people invested money and asked him to study higher studies in Europe, which helped him to educate himself further. Then he worked for Reserve Bank for some time and then started working for World Bank. See, in the process, he started working and learning. Frankly saying, okay, the true education comes from work. So when we work, we really understand the situations and circumstances. But we need to understand what kind of work we have to do. So definitely if a person is engaging himself in a good kind of work which is going to give him a wonderful experience, I think that's really impressive. But if a student is not doing the right work for making money, which is irrelevant to it, then, so you want to become a software engineer. I know one of my friend by name Madhav, who started working in Hyderabad in a small institute wherein he started supporting the students in making them understand the fundamentals of it, and he used to gain knowledge every time the system was free. Even recently, one of my friend Bhaskar told me an example of a guy who was just intermediate. He used to work in an internet center, but every time he found a system which is free, he used to update his skills and knowledge, and now he is in US, okay, doing a wonderful job. So we have to be in a right platform. But instead of this fellow is very good in upgrading himself technically and wants to create a life in that manner. But if that fellow does not look out for a job in technical field, but he puts himself in a different arena, let me say. So let me say he is driving a car. Let me say he is running a support system in some business. Or let me say he is selling some product. Then that fellow is not going to update his skills. So be specific about what you really want to do in future. How you want to engage your 30, 40 years of life. See, I'm leading my life as a trainer in English. So if I find a job which is relevant to it, even if I'm getting a low pay, I think that's very good to get into it. But I started selling saris for some time, which was nowhere related with English training. Had I got 4-5 years of more experience in English training, I could have been something better by now. I could have started early and I could have gained more experience in my training. So working is definitely a good arena, there is no doubt about it. But are you working in the right platform? A platform in which you want to grow further in your life. That's what you need to understand. Okay? So 2 things. Educating yourself makes you a better thinker. So as you become a better thinker, you become a better problem solver. You will be in a position to handle any kind of circumstances. You will have very good attitude and you will have good communication skills and you will have good technical knowledge. So you can handle bigger challenges in a job and grow to a certain extent. To grow to a better extent. On the other side, if you're not having an opportunity to educate yourself, don't worry for that. You can educate yourself later. First, pull yourself into a job which is definitely going to improve your skills in the area you want to work further. Even if you're getting a lesser salary, work experience counts a lot. So look out for some job like that and educate yourself through correspondence, or give a gap for an year or 2, first work, and then with that experience also you can get into a curriculum. You can do this MBA even after 2 years. But if at all, if you want to prepare, if you want to do MBA, then I think okay, you can work in that relevant field and then get into that job. So either of the situations are good, but how you handle them is this. See, whatever that comes across in our life is a good thing. But just because we are not able to do something what everyone is doing, and if we start worrying about it, if we start struggling about it, we make wrong decisions. In that wrong decisions, okay, we lose the ability of resolving problems. So just take care of that. Don't worry for that. Put yourself in balance. For you, everything goes great because you have that common sense wherein you have that hard-working ability, exactly saying. You can work to an extent wherein you will become a potential personality in anything. So when you have that hard-working nature wherein you enhance your potentialities, I think handling situations is not a big deal. So whatever that you are deciding and moving forward, decide happily and move on. But see that the work what you are picking up gets connected with your future profession. Okay? Thank you so much, Pyari. Raidu, I hope you're doing great, man. So, leading a life when things are not going the way we want them to happen, and that too for pretty long years, is not an easy thing. But in spite of all the challenges, so you're still wearing a smile on your face. You're filling your heart with a lot of hope and confidence. And you're setting a positive attitude in your mind and marching forward in life like a soldier. That's fantastic, Raido, okay? Good days will come ahead and your life will definitely be a wonderful journey to experience further. So no worry, every difficulty that we are encountering in life is just to strengthen us. I think you have a list of questions, so let me handle them one by one. The first one is, how should I think to be perfectly balanced in life? There is no strategy like this. You have to think like this to be in balance perfectly. First, try to understand, okay, this, how your mind is thinking. If your mind is thinking in a particular pattern, you will behave in a particular pattern. So what is your thinking and what is your behavior? So check this. See, behavior is about what you do. So how your thinking is and what kind of communication you are making. Third thing, how your thinking is and what kind of experience you are experiencing. So how your thinking is handling your actions, how your thinking is handling your communication, how your thinking is handling your experience of life. Now, you should know how your mind is thinking in a particular situation. And if you are not doing the right actions, probably your mind is not thinking rightly in that particular situation. Now you need to change your thinking. If you are not communicating right, being conscious, then automatically your mind is not thinking in a manner it has to think in order to communicate the right one. So there you have to be conscious and you have to change your communication. And you have to observe your experience of life in a particular situation. Let's say you could not settle your life in a comfortable manner. So every time you think about your settlement, automatically what happens is your mind may think negatively. So when your mind starts thinking negatively about your settlement, automatically what happens? You will be in a kind of worry, okay? So that is a negative experience in life. So you definitely cannot change the circumstances in this world. You cannot bring up thousands of jobs, you cannot change the world industrially, and you cannot make millions of companies to come in and jobs to explore and you people to get wonderful jobs all of a sudden. That is not possible for us. But what is possible is we can change that thinking and we can change the experience of life. So you might not have worked in a manner, you have to work according to the challenges what you are supposed to encounter in present day scenario. So right now you get started, probably let it take another 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years in order to shape your life. Probably you may be in 30s by that time, but doesn't matter, because at least from 35 you will have a wonderful experience of life. See, I started thinking that my life is going to be in balance and wonderful because I'm just working hard. But that did not happen. I started working very hard and I was very serious about my career. But in around 36 or 36, I realized that there's something what I don't know and I must update my skills at that age. And I had to get serious about my education. I have to gain knowledge, which really helps me to lead my life better. So at 36, deciding to study and work hard, gaining a lot of knowledge, would be a question mark, because we want to work and make money at that time. But to get started into work at that time is a challenging thing. But still I took that decision because I felt that even if the study goes for 3 to 4 years, I'm going to leave the rest 20, 30 years of life at least in my professional career happily. Even I know a person by name Madhu. He frequently tells me this statement. Even if I can't make much money till my 59th year of life, in my 60th year, I'll make all the money what I could not make in this, what I can say, 29 or 39 years of career. And that must be the attitude. So when you can live 1 year of happy life, that's a wonderful thing, right? And we have to fight to make that 1 year. Let's say you will work up to 60 years. So you may be around 30. If you work hard in order to enhance your life for 5 years, from 35 you are going to have a good life. I think Andrew Carnegie wanted to lead his life wonderfully, and when he was around 30 years of age, he made a decision that he has to spend the next 20 years on self-improvement. He has to update his knowledge and skills to such an extent that he can create something big in life. And he started working on updating his skills for 20 years. Probably that made him to get into 50s. And from 50, he started creating something sensational. He made more than $400 million, and he has donated almost all the money to poor people, teaching to the world that till 60 we have to make money, and later we have to pass it on to the poor people who do not have it. I hope you are understanding. So, you have to make your mind to think in a manner wherein you do the right things, you communicate the right thing, and you automatically experience the life better. See, you may come across a situation wherein you did not succeed in something. Automatically, your mind thinks negatively and you communicate negatively, saying that my life is something like this, nothing good happens in my life. So automatically when you communicate this to others, others will start thinking that this is an unlucky fellow and this fellow cannot create anything good in life, and that is what the entire society spreads. So when that negative information is spread in the society, who is going to encourage you, saying that you will do something worthy? So you're not supposed to communicate that. So you have to handle your thinking in that particular situation, and you have to say that it's okay. Okay, I could not make it with the maturity what I have right now, but I'll enhance my maturity and I'll hit the target and I'll succeed in it in my next attempt. I have no issues about it. So this communication if you make, then automatically the world will see you as a confident man who will definitely shape your life to the extent you want. And they communicate the same thing. So when someone comes to you, they'll start saying that, bravo, Raidu, that's wonderful. You'll make your life. You'll create your life. I hope you're understanding. So if your mind is thinking in a manner wherein you have to update your skills, you have to get strength, you have to still become strong in gaining knowledge, everything, the skills what you have are not enough, then automatically you'll think about getting up early in the morning. But if your mind is thinking in a negative manner, in a manner wherein it says that you are not a pretty lucky guy, you can't create something wonderful in your life, now automatically what happens? Your mind will not support you to wake up early in the morning. It will not support you to read. It will not support you to expose yourself for greater knowledge. So if your mind is not thinking in a manner wherein it has some kind of hope for creating your future, I think you will not be in a position to ask these questions also right now. So just observe how your mind is thinking, and because of that, how you are behaving, that is how your actions are, how your communication is, and how your experience of life is. Understand that pattern of thinking and design your thinking in a manner wherein these three things will go smooth in life. When these three things go smooth in life, life is a celebration. So whatever may be your position, wherever you are with a job or you are not with a job, you have money, you don't have money, you have friends, you don't have friends. So anything is happening outside, but internally these three things are in balance. So you're in balance. You can be happy. And that's what you need to learn. When you learn this, I think you will be in a perfect balance in life. Remember, nothing can be handled in the external world, but you can handle everything in your internal world, because internal world reflects through your thinking. So you must be careful about your thinking. You have to observe. See, exactly what is the work of an educator or a student is this. He has to design a thinking which really puts his life into balance. In the sense, puts these three things into control. That's it, nothing else than this. I hope you understood this, Raidu. Next, I have to lie about money. If I have money, if I lend it, it will not be returned. See here, when you have money, you don't need to lie to others. So you lie to others having money just because if you say that I don't have money, probably the other people will not force you. See here, one thing I'll tell you, don't think about being a good guy in the society. See, all of us has this problem within us, that is, we want to prove that we are good in the society. So in that situation, we try to tell a lie and we will try to hold that relationship, but that's not going to be there. Understand this. See, someone asked you for money, you can say that I have money, but I can't give it. So you may not say that I'm not having faith in you that you will return it to me. So that's the reason why I'm not giving it to you. But you can say that I can't give it enough. There's no problem in this. So we always want to be good in the minds of everyone. Try to understand one thing. If the other person is good, he will realize that he could not create a faith wherein he could extract the money what he wants. Probably, if I ask you for some money, Raidu, can you borrow a 5,000 rupees for me? And if you have it, will you be ready to give it to me or not? So I hope you would be ready to give it to me because you have faith in me that I'll return it to you. But if you do not have faith in me, then you can bluntly say that I have money, but I can't give you. The other person, if he has common sense, he would understand that he could not create that faith in the other person. So recently, I had to manage 1 lakh rupees for something, and I asked my friend for that. And that fellow somehow managed that money within one day, and evening he was really struggling to deposit that money immediately. He told me that in the afternoon, I suppose, okay, hey, can I sleep for some time and then deposit the money in the bank? I said, it's okay. If I can settle it before night, that is going to be okay. Then that fellow said that I don't want your name to go away because you promised someone that you wanted to give 1 lakh rupees and you must give that 1 lakh rupees and you hold your faith in the mind of other person. So why that person started working for me? My friend Satish wanted my goodwill to be in good books with others also. And that's how faith builds. So if the other person returns the money every time he takes from you, then automatically you have faith in him and you will be ready to help him. If that fellow is not doing that, he is not worth to get that money from you. When he is not worth to get that money from you, why do you worry about it? See, don't think of having thousands of people around you always. Even if you have one person who is good, who can understand you, that's more than enough. See, we are always fooled in the society by one particular thought process that we need to have a lot of friends, then we are something great. That is senseless. So generally, for a guy who is truthful always, for a guy who is honest and who keeps up his promises always, and focuses on what he has to do, I don't think that he needs any friends. So only a guy who is not truthful and who is doing something wrong, in order to put himself into security, he thinks of having a lot of friends. So we don't need to have hundreds of people around us. We don't need to get a good impression from everyone. Okay, it's not needed. So you tell the truth that you have, but you can't borrow right now. We have because you need it. So you don't need to tell others definitely that, okay, I don't have faith in you. That must be understood by that fellow. It's not in our hands. But speak truth. Okay. If you don't want to lend, don't lend. See, saying yes is an easy thing, but saying no is a very difficult thing. And you must learn the art of saying no when you want to say no. So you should not hesitate to say no, because right now you may hesitate to say no, thinking that it will create inconvenience for the other fellow, okay? But by not saying no, you'll be creating the biggest worry for the other fellow in later days. So let's not do that. Let's be open for it. Next, expect being selfish. I don't understand this exactly. So how do I get the answer to the question of what I really want? You have to put the question in your mind and start exploring. So when the question is lingering in your mind, in the sense, when the question is coming up again and again in your mind, okay, you'll get exposed to some book, you'll read something, or you listen to some lecture wherein that person will speak about that particular thing, and you find an answer for it. So, but somehow definitely for every question you have in your mind, you will find an answer. So probably I've gone through the statement once that Gautama Buddha said, we are the universe expressing itself for a while. So that was a big question within me. Am I the universe? Am I expressing, is the universe expressing as Venu for a while on this earth? How is it possible? How am I the universe? So I had this question, but one day early in the morning I sat up around 3 o'clock or so and started writing different questions. So in the process of writing that questions, okay, I could realize that I am the universe. So after writing nearly 100 or 120 questions, okay, I could realize that I am the universe. And I hope you understand this. So you will come to know the answer in some manner or the other. And I think I must have shared many incidents that happened in my life itself. Okay. So I was in a state of worry once about a particular thing. I did not have an answer why I was behaving like that. So then Gauri gave me a book. So I went through that book. In the first page I went through it itself, I understood that it is because of my nature. My nature is making me to do that, and I'm of that kind. So I learned how to overcome that and started handling it. So you will get the answer. Like there was one student for me who used to say that every time she has a problem and she has a question, automatically in the next day, Joyce Mayer would be talking about it in her preachings. And next day it was telecasted on Ma TV, and every time she sits before that on Ma TV, exactly whatever the problem she had the previous night. So Joyce Mayer would be talking about it. When you have a question in your mind, universe definitely gets connected with the source, the answer. Only thing is you must have faith within yourself and keep that question in your mind till universe shows a way wherein you get the answer. That's it. Next, why do we think so much about those who don't like us, who never come back into our lives? So it's not like that, but the basic nature of the mind is whatever we say no, our mind thinks more about it. So the opposition carries a lot of priority in our mind. See, when I say I'm not supposed to worry, I should be happy always, my mind consistently thinks about the thoughts which worry me the most, which trouble me the most. So I'm not supposed to oppose that. So when you say that the people, just a second. Why do we think so much about those whom don't like us? In sense, see, you have strongly decided in your mind that everyone should like you. So that is an impossible concept. See, I think Mahesh Babu is pretty smart, dynamic, good in dancing and acting. But everyone in at least Telugu speaking states love him. So he may be a choice for a good number of people, but not for everyone. So everyone's nature in life is different. They respond or they act in a manner, okay, which they love. So if the other person is ready to spend time with you, welcome him. If the other person is not ready to spend good time with him, don't force him. Because everyone has their own challenges with their thinking. Their thinking will be designing their actions. So if they are not in a position to think in a manner wherein they can relate with you wonderfully, I think automatically you have to welcome them. See, I want my son to get better in studies. But that fellow's mind is not thinking in a manner wherein he is interested in updating his knowledge in education. So if I force him, he sits with a dull face and he cannot focus on studies. He has to get excited by himself and he has to sit for that. And I'm waiting for that day. So I have to, there is no alternate. I have to show different ways, I have to motivate him in a manner. I'm thinking about a solution. Probably I was thinking that I have to master the subject and I have to, he loves nature, he loves traveling, he loves being outside. So I have to teach him the subject in the external world, okay, not opening the books, and make him realize that he has learned everything about it. And that's the only way we can drive that interest within him. Okay, so let the world be free to lead their lives. And every time someone is not interested to spend time with us, it's like we feel that we are rejected. For most of the times, for most of the people, handling failure and handling rejection is a very difficult thing. The biggest thing what we have to develop in life is we must learn to handle failure and we must learn to handle rejection. So what happens if the other person rejects us? Think once. Why should every person accept us? That's not needed. There may be many situations wherein we would be rejected, but why we have to worry for it? Because someone is rejecting us means he feels comfortable. He feels comfortable, okay, in our absence. At least that is how they are happy, right? Let them be. Why should we worry for that? So let the world be the way it wants to be. You just go on with the people who love to spend time with you. There will be someone who will definitely love to be with you. At some time, you may not have anyone to walk with you. But still remember that God is there with you. Every time you are having a lonely walk, God walks with you. God lifts you up and walks with you. So don't worry about it. So you have the support of God. And through Him, everything is possible. So don't tell to your mind or don't decide in your mind that everyone must like you or everyone must love you. When you fix this thought in your mind, then automatically that creates a kind of challenging things or issues in your life. I hope you can learn this and master this. Thank you so much, Raidu. I hope you've got justice for this. Sai, good evening. Hope you're doing great. In competitive exams ki prepare avadam anukunnanu. See, focus, you may not be developing in the initial days because you are not familiar about the terrain, subject, everything. See, one thing, you're familiar about everything in your house. So automatically, to stay in your house, you feel very comfortable. But when you go to a new place, or when you stay in some of your friend's house, you're not familiar with everything there. Probably at night, you think of getting some salt. Probably you did not have your brush and paste, so early in the morning you wanted to brush your teeth. So you thought of having some salt and brushing your teeth. But you don't know exactly where the salt is in the kitchen. So you feel it a bit of trouble. In a similar manner, but in your house you know where the salt is kept. So you happily go there and get it. So in a similar manner, okay, when you start working for competitive exams, the first thing is you must fall in love with the subjects. You must fall in love with the trainers who are training you. So you must fall in love with the exam, the competition, the spirit what it carries. So this takes time. You have to do everything by force. So probably you can live in a house only which is constructed. You cannot live in a house which is not constructed. And constructing a house is not an easy job. You have to put a lot of efforts, you have to take a lot of stress, you have to stretch your limits to a lot of extent, you have to pull up money, you have to bring everything into one platform, you have to motivate the labor, you have to do a lot of things to get the house completed. But once the house is completed, you don't have any challenge of work, but you can celebrate your living there. So when you want to prepare for your competitive exams, you have to get familiar with your current affairs. Let's say you're not familiar with all the politicians, sports person, administrative team, different persons who hold different sectors. What's going on in science, what's going on in economy, what's going on in technology and all. So when you expose to all this and when you start getting familiar with all this, slowly you gain interest. Because initially when someone asks you a question, you will not be in a position to answer because you don't know anything about it. But slowly when you gain knowledge and when you are ready to answer anything what the other person is asking you, you develop interest. See, to give you an example from my life, I was very poor in English grammar. Even I scored very less marks in my intermediate, in my first year I suppose, because it had some questions on grammar. And I could not handle them. I was not good with articles or was not good with prepositions. I was not good with voice or direct and indirect speech. I was not good with even tenses. So for me, grammar was a hammer and I could not handle it exactly. But once I started gaining knowledge about it, slowly becoming a master of it, I started celebrating it. So in order to fall in love with the subject, first you have to get familiar with everything in that. So that must be done by force. So you have to involve into it and you have to try it and you have to work on it. So slowly once you start working on it, okay, get familiar with the subject. So probably there are around 20 units in arithmetic I suppose. Slowly when you get familiar with it and you are ready to solve every kind of problem, you think of solving more and more problems in arithmetic. So once you understand what reasoning is and you are ready to solve the problems in reasoning, you think about resolving more and more problems in reasoning. So you have to get familiar. Even you cannot be very comfortable with the person who got introduced to you in the day one itself. But slowly, when you start communicating with them, when you start spending time with him or her, so you slowly get familiar, you'll understand what the other person is comfortable with. Then it's easy to relate yourself with them. So this is also the same thing. So you will not create focus in the beginning because everything is new to you, everything is unfamiliar to you. You're not strong in that. You have to gain that strength by force. And that is the reason why most of the people fail. They don't understand this concept that once I get familiarity with the subject, once I update my knowledge in the subject, I'll start loving the subject. And once I start loving the subject, I think of spending longer hours into it. So initially, it might be even tough to spend 2-3 hours. But slowly, once you get familiar with the subject, once you see progress, and you have to see progress in your subject means you have to prepare the right way. If your preparation is again like looking out for shortcuts wherein you will manage this and that and handle the thing, then you are not going to enjoy it. But you must learn the subject step by step, slowly, clearly, perfectly. So as you enhance knowledge in anything, See, I started enhancing my knowledge in life skills. So once I started enhancing my knowledge in life skills, I started enjoying it more and more. I love reading anything, okay, regarding that. See, I really enjoy reading stories. Probably even if you throw 1,000 stories or 10,000 stories or 1,00,000 stories before me, I'll slowly start reading them and enjoying them. I love listening stories or love reading stories. So it did not happen all of a sudden. But when I started reading stories, initially, I was expecting something good to happen in my life. If I just read these stories, I'm going to become something. No, it's not like that. Later I understood that I have to understand the essence. The writer of the story has a purpose for me to tell. So there is something what he wants to teach me. So he represented it in the form of a story. I had to identify that first of all. So once I started identifying it, it was a celebration going through the stories. Initially, I could not identify what exactly the author wanted to tell me. I was just reading it as a story because thinking that something great is going to happen in my life. That did not work out. So let your preparation be right. Understand every fundamental concept. See, think more about the subject than just remember certain things, remember some formulas and do it and all. Think more, get familiar with the concepts. Work on it every day. So initial labor will be challenging, but you have to undergo. There is no alternate. So once you keep going with that labor, at some point of time, you will get familiar with everything. Once you get familiar with everything, it's pretty easy to go for it. See, in the initial days when I was trying to answer the questions what the students asked, it was not an easy task for me. It was challenging for me. But still, I worked with it. But as days passed, things started getting familiar for me. So once it started becoming familiar for me, answering questions was a joy for me. It's a fun. It's a celebration, frankly saying, and that's what you need to understand. Okay, so don't worry about it. Keep going with it, and slowly you can overcome that. Okay, you can gain that focus also. So initial days, you need to work with that labor, that hard work. There is no way you can see. A mother has to carry the baby for almost 10 months, and that is mandatory. If she handles it, and then she can experience the joy of spending time with a son or a daughter for a lifetime. But if she's not ready for this 10 months of labor, she cannot get a child with whom she can really celebrate her life. I hope you understand. So definitely the 10 months of labor, what the mother experiences is not a joyful thing. She gets vomiting, irritational sensation, something new is growing in her body. The body does not accept it. It will be challenging. So she vomits, she can't eat properly. So her body gets heavy, she can't do her work properly. There will be a lot of challenges, but still she bears it. So once she gives birth to a child, then when the child keeps growing, every time she sees the child growing, she celebrates. Every activity the child does, every progress the child makes will be a celebration for her. And this is also the same things I hope you understood. So initial labor is mandatory. Once you get familiar with everything, I told you, right? You must prepare in a right manner. Then everything is going to be great. So I hope this is clear for you. So thank you so much, guys. It has been a long time. Somehow I could not do this question answer session for a month, I suppose. I was not there on Sundays recently. So thanks a lot for your time. It's really a happy thing that you give your time to update your knowledge. Even if my work is going to become helpful for one person, I really wish one thing to happen in everyone. I slowly started understanding that it is the thinking that's missing the wonderful experience of life. It's the thinking that is not making people do wonderful things. It's the thinking that is not allowing people to do wonderful works. So to trigger this thinking greatly, we have to empower our questioning ability greatly. If we are not having the ability to question greatly, then I think, okay, we are not going to understand the way life is happening. So first we must be very strong in developing our questioning ability. So my purpose of organizing this question answer session is just to trigger that questioning ability in anyone. So if you find anyone who is having the ability to question, and if you find people who are curious and enthusiastic about doing something innovative, ask them to develop questioning ability. And if they can do that, I think they are really going to do something wonderful in life. So let this question answer session empower the questioning ability in millions of people so that they tune their thinking. They can shape their thinking through greater questions. And once they design their thinking to greatness, their communication, their behavior, and their experience of life is going to become wonderful. And when all these three things become wonderful, his life is a celebration. It just passes off in a jiffy. In worry, it's very difficult to pass time. But in happiness, time moves away very fast. So we have to be in a celebration in order to push off this 100 years of life very quickly. So initially I used to move my life very tough. Recently I was just, every time I was messaging some of my old friends, I used to say life is moving very fast. And they used to say that really fast. So life is really moving fast because they're able to handle it. So in happiness, days moves very fast. And that is what you need to develop. So develop that strong strength in questioning ability, okay? Let this session drive all of you, that particular thing. Thanks a lot for your wonderful time. Thank you so much.